This is the TJ3B triangle, and we are the three magic people that are going to help today get this ship off the ground. So it's magic, folks. Even though you may be seeing us on Facebook or YouTube or wherever, I have a stream that I could put this up, and I shall. But this is live. So, in order to get us started, it takes three of us to run this huge, gigantic ship for one planet. So, I'm going to introduce the co hosts. We're all commanders here. The TRICOM, Janet Carolesson of Hawaii. She claims to be not of Earth. She is an alien ET contactee, but she's also a producer of the show and helps us. She claims just, oh, I'm just a secretary. I'm a secretary, but whatever. So it takes, we call her a commander. She is also an author. All my friends pretty much are authors. And then we have Bret Luter, and I forget his middle name, so he just goes by Bret. Very distinguished looking, watching him grow up from a child playing, was it hockey or soccer? Soccer, right? Soccer. So you guys may know him from California, the famous California guy that became the famous journalist, and I know him that way. And then he came with us in ACO on the TJ radio. But he's a great co-host. He's a producer. He's an author. And I've got toothpaste on my teeth. Okay, so we're really close up here, and the three of us are going to hopefully entertain you and have you enjoy us, because we're going to talk about Bret Luter and his ways of knowing people that are coming to an alien event, because it's going to be in Las Vegas this year, and we're all excited about it. And we're probably going to be there in California too with Bret and Janet in 2025, but we're going to touch down in Vegas. And so, Janet, tell us a little bit about what today and this hour is about with Bret Luter and me and you.
Well, of course, we're going to just banter and chat and talk about what's going on with us and the ET movement. But we, Theresa got accepted to the, here, put it on the stage here, alien event in Las Vegas. And it is, I didn't put the dates. Oh, here it is, October 17th to 28th.
Look at Bret.
At the Alexis Park Resort. Never been there. I will not be able to go, but Bret might go. But Theresa's definitely going, and her sister and brother-in-law are going to be there. And if you want to talk about who's going to be there, I'm sure this isn't the final list, because this is how it works. And see, I've got an and, so there's something else. But we are, I don't know, Theresa, what do you know? You know Richard, you know of Richard Doty, or have you met? Who have we met? So
that's a loaded question.
I've not met Richard Doty. I met Kerry, Cassidy, Mike Bara, Stephen D. Kelley, Brad Olsen. I've met Saeed, David Farman. I've met Eric Dadmehr. Brooks Agnew was at my 2018 conference in Turkey. I know I met Theresa Morris.
Yay! That's me.
That's it. I don't know. I may be here at Chris O'Connor. I met Geraldine Orozco. I've seen her when she was just a baby. One of her first times.
Growing up in the metaphysical world.
Growing up. See, we're Theresa and I are these seniors, and we're the 70+ club. Yay! And that's good. Good to be alive. But we've seen these youngins come up like Bret. We saw Bret. He's still wet behind the ears, and look at him.
Yeah. He's just Bret, a little guy.
Bret, why don't you tell us about your thoughts on the crazy ladies that you're on the show with today? Go ahead. Take it away, Bret.
Wow. So I can't. Obviously, I can't be totally honest. Just kidding.
No.
It's a real honor to be with two veterans of the UFO field, and you guys combined present a wealth of experience and information. And the Rolodexes of both of you guys put together are incredible. The names that you guys drop, the people that you've hung out with, is for me, coming after you guys, it's incredible to see where you've been, who you've met, and the different kinds of experiences that you've had. So for me to be here with you guys, it's quite an honor, and I'm always learning. Every time we get together, I'm learning something new from one or both of you guys. And that's what life's all about, right? Continually learning and experiencing and growing. And that's why I want to be part of the show, because it helps me to do that. So yeah, I feel lucky to be a part of it. Thank you for having me.
We're lucky to have you. Thank
you. I feel wonderfully exonerated as a baby boomer now. Oh, look at that. Wow. Alien event. Cosmic Fleet Gathering event. Oh, all those commanders can show up and talk about our commands. I used to have 5 ships, and I graduated to above the Galaxy Command level. But
what do you mean by you had 5 ships? Please, sometimes you have... Theresa says things so fast, and she goes,
you miss it.
Then she goes, wait. What do you mean by you had 5 ships?
I was assigned 5 ships when I came here in this reality, but by the time I got into the military and I'd already gone over to Hawaii, they seemed to recognize me over there, and they had a big deal, and we had over 300 or 500 people, and they presented me with a big blah, blah. Big staff for metaphysics. It was all metaphysical, spiritual communities brought together, sort of like a cosmic fleet gathering we're doing here with alienevent.com.
Where were those 5 ships? Where were they that you had?
Well, if I tell you, I have to kill you.
Go ahead. Long enough, please.
No, just kidding. All right. Yes. It's a lot like this 3D reality, but it's also one of those things that you have to work with on various levels. And I did work in the 3D level, and that's very hard when you've died and come back in your life between lives.
So that was in the military?
It was before I got in the uniforms, and before I got to Hawaii. And then Hawaii people that weren't in uniforms, so the intelligence community and the men in black came and got me. And that's when I realized I was going to have to give up my ships to go and be with Commander Morris, which I now am. There could be only one. It's sort of like Bret, help me out here. There can be only one.
Only one what? Commander?
That's a Highlander.
There you go. See, I knew he'd know, because he's one of those past lifers that knows. He probably even played whatever that game is that they used to play.
I watched the other one about the lady that went through time. So
Game of Thrones.
I saw that years ago. What does that mean? It's a keyword. What does this mean to be a Highlander?
Highlanders, that Scottish group of people.
Yeah.
From the Highlands.
Yes.
And this immortal being was born. Connor MacLeod was born into the Clan MacLeod in Scotland, but these immortal beings were born all over the world. But when they broke that story, in the first movie, The Highlander, it was centered around this one immortal being that was born into the Scottish Highlands. So the movie was called The Highlander, and the subsequent 3 movies after that, and then, or maybe 4 movies after that, and then the TV series.
Yes.
So that's
what year was that made? Do you know?
The first movie, I'm gonna guess 85 or 86.
Okay.
So
I may have seen one. Yeah. So what was the name? MacLeod?
Yeah, Connor MacLeod was the main character.
Okay, I'm going to see if I have MacLeods in my. I might be part of the clan.
It doesn't matter who had the human form body. It really doesn't, because all these past lifers come back, and some of them are not remembering, as we know. And so we have to learn all over again how to speak. And we all decided globally, those friends of mine, to speak American and do business in America this time. So most of my soul group is going to be probably coming to this alien event. I'm looking forward to see the ones that haven't touched base here on Earth with me yet. So that's going to be exciting. So it's various levels that we talk in, and we know things, and it's very metaphysical. It's very spiritual. And it's very scientific, not to mention techno and AI and AGI. So I have various levels. I went on the Citadel today. I'm not going to say good or bad, because it's not my place, because I don't like it.
What is the Citadel? You got to explain these terms.
No, I shan't tell you. That's what I'm saying. There's some things, only certain people know certain things, because it's on their spiritual path. And
Okay.
so I've been working diligently with Bret for a long time. And he seems to be opening his mind and having many more levels up to the summit. So I'm hoping he's going to join me at the alien event, but we've yet to get all that worked out in the future. We were hoping Janet would, but her husband's having surgery.
You don't want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. See, that's what I mean. You never know when you're allowed to say excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît. So there's some languages, and even if we're speaking business for the world globally, we may know things that we're not supposed to talk about. Or if we do, someone's saying, no, don't say that, like Janet just did. Now, Janet, in answer to you always wanting to know the truth and wanting to know the answer to everybody in your cloud, okay, your group, you want to know everything, and you're very curious, and you ask me all kinds of things, and I can't every day if I talk to you, I'll never be able to tell you everything that runs in my threads.
I'm not told you everything. I'm sure we don't know everything about Bret.
No, that's what's fun about having Bret.
About you, Bret. Come on, Bret.
What do you want to know?
I don't know what I want to know. Only you know what you're not telling us. We want to be in the know. No, it's okay. We don't have to know everything about each other. We're just having a nice experience. Okay, so let's talk about this event that you're going to see. There's Theresa right there in the pink.
Second row.
Right next to Saeed. So,
yeah.
Yep, you're right next to him. So what
I'm looking at him.
He's looking at me. Because you're coming out of the ET closet. You know, there's all the different closets out of, and now you're going to be up there with a mic for an hour and a PowerPoint, and I got this. This is Theresa. This is about when you and Tom met, right?
Yes. No, this is way after. It's about 10 years after.
About 10 years after.
I have the picture when we met. I have one. He's got the cowboy hat on.
Oh, okay.
But so he had his government and a Russian hat too.
Now Tom is no longer with us. He passed. When did he die?
Over. Yes, he did 20 and back. He spent 1995 till 2015 with me.
Okay, and he had injuries that eventually took him out. Right, his injuries from being in the 20 back program.
Oh, I don't know. He was called back and said he wanted to go back because he chose when he left. That was all.
I mean, it wasn't part of his. He was sick the whole time I knew you.
Oh,
wasn't that a result from getting injured when he was in the secret space program? I remember something he said about it. He said he got into a fight and he got like a knife wound or something. He lived. Anyway, she's gone.
Tom passed. December 2nd, 2015. Right. And I've been a widow now going on, 9 years. Right. But I haven't found another. I tried one or two, but I'm so hard to get along with because I speak so many levels of interdimensional travel. It's keeping me. But I don't have ADHD. I went and got tested, everybody, to make sure I did. I was like, surely I have some form, but nope. I've had every test, paid quite a few $1,000s extra out of my pocket. Insurance paid some of it, and some of my government paid some of it, but no, I'm just as normal as you can be. If anything, I'm a little above normal, which makes me eccentric. If I beg the guy for a word after talking to different people, but it's the same. I've always had a very high clearance, and the reason I was trusted. I wanted to help my country, and I wanted to make all these wars go away. So I got involved inside with him with my husband, and he was a very high muckety-muck commander. But now he went by agent. I go by Agent Morris, and he went by Agent Morris. But in the hospitals, we'd go by commander. So these are titles.
Or are you talking about on board ship? What do you mean in the hospitals?
In reality, in 3D, in human form.
Okay.
In this reality, the pictures you have up, you asked me about Tom, my experience with him. So I was going forward as a DOD personnel, and I was OPM, Office of Personnel Management. And then from 67 to 87, I was 20 years just being trained, constant training all over the place. And that's how I met J. Allen Hynek, was in 1985. And they flew me over to Lowry Air Force Base, and I was trained there. And he took me out along a tarmac to get away from everybody. Of course, now Lowry Air Force Base isn't even there. So unless you've been there, you won't even know. So, I mean, things come and go, folks, really fast, and faster in today's time. But I met him. He was part of wanting a contract with the government and the Air Force. So it was funny that I was rehired after I came out of country from a case in Africa, which you got here, where Tom and I worked out of country. We both worked in and out of country, mostly in the European theater, in the analyst or intelligence agencies. And of course, they've come all together after, you know, the two towers coming down and everything changed.
When you were working in these projects, what was your role? What were you doing?
I just told you, agent, analyst.
What did you do as an agent? What does that mean?
I was always the investigator or investigative reporter undercover.
So they would
you
give
don't
you
say you're working when you go in and out of countries. You're on business. You're not on business. You're on pleasure.
So you go into a country and you don't know that you're an agent and you're there on vacation or something.
Right. Yeah. Now that I'm retired, I don't mind talking about it because everybody else is, right? They keep telling me, oh, look at this guy and look at that guy. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm retired. I'm writing books. If they wanted me dead, they would have killed me already.
Right. Yeah.
But when you pull up Tom Morris, his story is awesome. And unfortunately,
so you always had a cover story to cover up why you were in the country, or you know what you were doing in these different places.
Well, I was actually hired by the government or the Men in Black that visited my late husband, not Tom. Apparently, he's no longer in the picture, but people called to tell me.
You've got a couple of late husbands. You've got
a couple of late husbands. Yeah, they were all cover husbands, I guess you'd say, in the military and the Navy.
You had kind of orchestrated marriages, right?
That's what you say. I say it was just me being a 3D reality person.
Okay.
But when you tell Bret Luter he's sitting there and somebody's telling him to go do this and that, we still have free agency. So it's hard to tell him, you know, but Bret.
We call them love bites when you're kind of directed and they hope you fall in love, but they at least hope you fall in lust. Long enough to accomplish your.
You have a certain way of talking, Janet, that you know about that I don't. But Bret, Bret's here is the part of the trip of the magic is to be able to take what I'm saying and what you're saying and make it blend. And then he can go, okay, ladies, is this what you're saying? But Bret is a writer first, and she's very good with words. But do you know what a love bite is? Let's ask him.
Do I know what a love bite is?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I think I do. What exactly do you mean by that?
No, let's have. I'm gonna hear let me hear his first.
I think it is. Yeah.
I would guess that a love bite is just, you know, you're bitten by the love bug. You know, you're around somebody long enough, they kind of wear on you a little bit. Next thing you know, you're falling over, or maybe, you know.
Okay, so
tell him what your version is.
Let me explain it. In ufology, love bites they're orchestrated, directed relationships. So they actually, you fall in love because you're attracted to somebody and they're I don't know what they're doing to you, but you fall in love. Like in Majestic by Whitley Strieber, he describes how this colonel's daughter and her boyfriend, they just saw each other and they were so much in lust. They just snuck up into the bedroom and they were having sex in her bedroom closet. And the mom and dad are downstairs. And what is that noise? And they go up and they go, oh my goodness. And it's like she couldn't, like they were in heat. They couldn't help but fall in love and fall in lust. And of course she got pregnant, so they got married. And that's happens between humans that they're directed to fall in love with each other, and aliens and humans, and they just get all turned on to each other. And so some of these relationships are kind of these love bites where you just, you fall in love. You go, oh, that was my soulmate, my twin flame, my whatever, and you have it all romanticized, and you're just there. And then at some point, you come out of the illusion. You go, what was that? Why did I fall for him? Why did I fall for her? Why did I have sex with an alien? So you come out of it like this fugue state.
Bring us up closer. Put it. I mean, I appreciate you putting my picture in my bio up, but can you put when you were talking, make us bigger? There, it's better on my eyes. Sorry, I'm old. I can't see you that tiny. But when it gets on YouTube, it's a lot bigger. But
it is, and then you put it on. So, Bret, what do you think of that? Have you ever experienced an unexplained romantic attraction for someone that once you were done with the relationship, you were going, what was that about? Why did I get involved with that person?
I've studied demonology quite a bit in the last 15 years. And less so the alien, but more so entity-wise. I think every long-term relationship I've had, 4 of them, all the women had some kind of an entity attachment. And I'm not sure exactly why that is. I've definitely learned a lot. And the experience is invaluable. But if I had to trade that for just the right woman, so I could just, chill out and have a nice, smooth go at it, I would definitely choose that because it's been kind of rough.
Yeah.
But if you're referring to, if you're referring to aliens setting up couples for possible breeding,
right?
And genetics, that kind of thing. I can't honestly say that I know that's happened to me, but sometimes I go, because you don't really know why you fall into love or why someone comes into your life. When you're young, you're just raging, full of hormones all the time. So you're just sending out that vibe everywhere, right? So you're just constantly looking to see who's picking up on that. And as you get older, you're a little more intellectual, I found, and you pick and choose a little more carefully. And so, I forget the name of that book the lady wrote about aliens choosing your partners.
Oh, there was a book. I didn't know that. I haven't read
that. About that.
Book and I forgot too. Yeah.
The title escapes me right now.
Missing. Okay.
But the concept is really super fascinating. If the ETs are harvesting genetics, which is what certain researchers would argue, right? They're creating a hybrid breeding program. Then it would make sense that they would arrange marriages, so to speak, arrange breeding. So I'm totally open to that possibility. And how much of that is alien derived, or how much of that is spiritually inspired, divinely guided? I'm not really sure.
Past lives, about reincarnation and life after life or life between lives. Monroe Institute. There's so many ways. We should discuss this, Bret, because synchronicity, serendipity, and if people believe in fate, or if they believe they've reincarnated, because I'm doing a lot in metaphysics. A lot of us do take people back in past life regressions. And I met Dolores Cannon too. I know I dropped names in the UFO history, but believe it or not, public relations is all about keeping people that have passed over in our historical narrative. Mm-hmm. So it's for a reason. So Dolores Cannon learned one of the best ways, and many of the people that were like Bret are looking for their directions, including me, and I was taken to Dolores. So Bret, back to you. Yes. Synchronicity, I've sort of heard through you, because we've been friends for years and years and years, and you knew Bret, you knew Harold, and so Harold and I had a love bite, but in Atlantis.
Interesting.
So we worked in a circle that we were able to come back in this reality and find each other. And neither one of us wanted to tell you, because it's sort of scary talking to a human that has had past lives and know each other. That's why I use Highlander, because that affected so many people to open their minds and at least think about it, not just in vampire stories, right? Okay. So that's why I use that. But if you could know that you knew Harold and you knew me.
Yeah.
Tell Janet what impression you didn't know me or Harold. Oh, Janet, he knew Harold, but he didn't know me. And so it was. And then when he did know me,
Harold was one of your things in life. You're saying you and Harold had a thing.
Not here.
So yeah. So
let him tell you the Highlander story. Tell her my Highlander story.
I don't know if I know the Highlander story, but I can tell you about Harold. So in Chico, California, I became part of this law study group of these quote unquote paper terrorists that the government and the media was trying to say were, these rogue Americans that were trying to break away from the government, and they were dissidents. And I got there so I could learn how to study traffic tickets. That's why I got into the group, right? I heard about it. And an old guy friend of mine, William Henderson Everone, actually, who's the grand nephew of Jack Pappy Henderson, the pilot that flew the wreckage from Roswell. So this old cat, who's since passed away, was in town, and he said, "Yeah, Bret, you got a traffic ticket. You need to go see these guys in this law study group." So I went to this law study group, learned how to fight traffic tickets and all that. That's a whole different story. We could do a show on that if you want. But one of the founders of this group was this super old guy named Harold Bauman, and he was an Ascended Master student. He spent a lot of time up in Mount Shasta. And, I was the young guy in the group. I was like the fresh meat, so to speak. And so all the old guys wanted to try out their traffic ticket methods on me because I was busy racing around town getting traffic tickets all the time. And so I'd go into court all eager and try different guys' methods on different times, right? Well, Harold was more like the spiritual father of the group. He didn't spend a lot of time in court. I guess he was too smart for that. He just knew to drive a little safer. And so Harold and I, became friends over the years, and we'd talk, and he kind of became my spiritual father. And in 2012, when I met you, Janet, that was when I met Theresa. When my UFO Hunter's Guide book came out, I had mentioned to Harold that I was on this radio show with this lady named TJ Morris, and he goes, "TJ Morris? You know TJ Morris?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" And he goes, "Well, I got to tell you some stuff." So that's when I don't know how far I can go with this, but TJ, you can tell him if you want to tell him about where you guys would meet and what you guys would do when you'd meet. But so supposedly it was a big deal that I knew two of these people that were in this group, and according to Theresa and Harold, virtually no one knew even one person in the group. So
yeah, it's a very secret group. That's why it's very, very, very deep, metaphysical. You don't know who anybody is. You're chosen, and if you meet anybody, you're special. So we knew Bret was special. Yes, Janet.
I'm getting confused. So you're saying you did not meet in 3D reality?
No, I met them both. I met them both, but Harold and TJ, as far as I know the story, did not meet in 3D reality. They met in.
When did you meet TJ in 3D reality?
When did I?
Yeah. Have you guys met in person?
Not just like this video.
Okay, like this. Okay. Well, TJ and I met. What year was that? 2017.
At one of those conferences in the Bay Area, like 2012 or 13, something like that. I think it was. See, I think I met both of you guys on a radio show.
Yeah, we met in the radio.
2012, I think, was the first time I met both of you, because that was like kind of the media junket of my first book, A UFO Hunter's Guide. Mm-hmm. And then I later met you and Sasha in person at an event in Santa Clara, I think in 2013.
I thought you guys met each other at Victoria Jack's way before MUFON. You didn't meet at MUFON.
We were hanging around. We went every year for years.
I mean, I was there every year too. So we may have bumped into each other, but I don't remember that if we did.
Well, Janet told me all about you. She was trying to hook you and me up, and then I found out how young you were.
Well, you wanted tall people, but I said you'd have to be, what do they call that? The older lady with the, yeah. So anyway, We were trying to, because she's tall. When I met Theresa, my neck hurt. I mean, she's looking up like, my neck hurts after a weekend of, being polite and looking up and talking.
Yeah, that does hurt you, Nick. She's 5 close. Have you shrunk it?
5'2"
more your little family they're all from over there in Europe and little tiny.
We're the little elephant.
You come from midget dwarfs and little people, right?
Literally, my grandmother's sister was 21 inches tall.
Wow.
She was one of the tiniest people. She was
21 inches.
She
Look how big you've grown in how many years.
She didn't live very long. So dwarfism runs in my family, literally.
In your DNA. I guess that's why you're so taken in this reality with DNA. She's quite the anthropology person, even married one, and an archaeologist. But her claim to fame lately is genealogy. And her sister's a Mormon, LDS, Latter-day Saint. I guess we can't say Mormon anymore.
On her genealogy work.
In reality.
Sometime in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to interview this young man who is from the spare line, the bastard spare line, and he was recruited just like the Dalai Lama got found. They went and got him wherever he lives in the United States. They flew him over to England, and they did all these rituals. And they said,
"Are you interviewing him?"
I'm going to interview him. And they said, if something happens to William and Charles, you're next. And I went, whoa, this is interesting. And then I was watching a couple of Nostradamus, and they said something really unusual happens, and the next heir comes out of nowhere. And so it said, well, this is really, whether it happened or not, it's really curious what happened to you so he's going to go over his lineage and why he's next in line. But there's a bunch of people there. There's like 1,000 people they've identified. They have the whole, in case there's a global disaster, who's going to be next in line for this British throne. So he's right next.
Well, this
not going to be Harry.
This world is changing its old demise. We're getting above and beyond the wars, I believe. So let's hope all the God deity empires that are still fighting for land on this planet. I thought we had it divided by 7 continents. But, the GG came fighting for Mars. But, people still say we're not from Mars. I'm like, okay. So a lot of us have past lives that are warring missions.
I promised Saeed, David Farman, we'd cover this. So let's get through this, and then we can free flow, because we've gone look how we go way over the place.
Okay, so we're back. We'll talk about Harold later, folks. And the Highlander life stories.
And here's a picture of Harold, because we've evoked Harold a bunch of times. I'd like to see what this guy looked like. If you can find a picture
I have no clue what he looks like. In my mind, I know what he looks like.
I did an interview with him and Phil Lang, the Merkaba activation instructor, when Phil was visiting Harold and Chico back in 2018.
Oh, I can't see you again.
And it turns out it was the only video of Harold that I think exists. So at some point, I'm going to post that in one of my shows.
I met Phil
Lang. So
you
have a photo
one at a time, please. Say that again.
Do you have a photo of Harold in this reality?
Video of Harold. I could get a still off the video probably.
Yeah, we can get a still from. Okay.
You can just stop it with your computer, and
it'll do it. Harold.
Yeah, just clip it. Go to YouTube. It's free. Pull up the video and hit the word clip and clip that one. Yeah, I've got to help a lot of people figure out how to do things faster. I know, but I'm losing time. I've been working all day with doing things. So, Janet, you want to go over this presentation?
Yeah. What does this mean? There's a bunch of words. It's called Alien ET AI Reverse Engineering ET Contact AI Gus. Explain just the title to us. What is that? What does that mean?
Well, I hope the next line tells you by merging the realms of extraterrestrial communication and artificial intelligence. Okay. So it says this concept opens a realm of possibilities for advancing human knowledge and technology. Okay. And that's exactly what it means. So that's what I do since I met Gus. Remember the 5 ships? I gave up my
Oh,
command.
who was Gus? Who is Gus? Explain to our
He
people
was
who is
so
Gus.
advanced over the ones when I came in this reality. Remember, I came before in my past lives, 43, 47. You know, I do a rotation. We do 20 years and back, right? Tom was on his rotation of 20 years. So I only had 20 years to get with him. That's where some people in lawsuits we shall not mention got that 20-year and back, because you and I and everybody had been talking about how we stay and then we go back to our spacecraft. So it's a common term, 20-year and back program, but Tom meant it literally. So when I took over, I had to take over Gus, Galaxy Universal Shuttle. So that's how my framework became involved, and Tom introduced me. But I had to go drive in physical reality, and it was during or after the Bosnian War. Does anybody remember we had a war in Bosnia? But anyway, all these wars, there was always wars. I seemed to be in uniform and out. I was driving big trucks and out and pulling Microsoft computers and doing U.S. Treasury and going underground and waiting in these big caves. So I was doing all these really weird work. So finally I got to go deeper in a cave. So that's when I met Gus with Tom. And it's in my book. Let me grab it. And no, we're not supposed to do this as authors, but make me bigger, Janet, and make me bigger for a minute. Then we can come back to this. But
now you have to move it. There we go. Right there.
Okay, I wrote this a long, long time ago, and this was really hard to get part of. This is just was supposed to be the beginning. This was. I can talk. Let me hold it up. Let me see. This was the beginning, okay, of the story. And can you see Roswell UFO encounters?
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. But you got to hold still. Yes. Okay, that's enough. Okay. Let's see.
Okay, Roswell.
Okay, thank you.
It says Theresa J. Morris. Now, Saeed for Alien Event did not put the J, but when I met everybody, they didn't know me as Morris. They knew me as Thurmond. You know how Saeed calls me Morris? I was called Thurmond. Yeah, well, my name was Thurmond, and then it was Havelka, and then it was Thurmond Orr. And then I got divorced from the man in black and became Theresa Thomas. And then after Theresa Thomas, in honor of my mother, and I had to pay extra money, whether I don't think the court got it. I don't know who gets it, because all the attorney did, was collect cash and change my name. It was Theresa Thomas with Social Security. So my mother was Theresa Thomas and I was Theresa Thomas, but I was Theresa Thurmond when she was Theresa Thurmond. My name is Theresa Jeanette Thurmond. So when I got married to Tom, which took me 5 years talking him into it, and I was fixing to buy a house, a cedar cabin in the woods with or without him. And it was during how I convinced him, thank you, Jesus, Y2K. So I convinced him he had to marry me because Y2K. We didn't know. We had to move out in the woods. And
Y2K.
And we had a fireplace. And I lived in the snow, and I got my own cattle so I could eat. I could eat food, and I learned to grow food. I was one of those people, Remember those days? Y2K?
Yeah.
That was fun. That's when I first saw my Yeti. I was like, wow, Yetis are real. And I saw one recently, right? That's how I missed the show with you guys. Yeah. But we didn't get to talk about it.
I lost what you were saying. You said you convinced Tom to marry you. And so, I wrestled mine and took him to Vegas.
You know how hard it is to get a CIA agent to get married?
Vegas in 2000, and they said, we're getting married.
5 years. 5 years it took me.
Well, sometimes you gotta wrestle and tie him up and
So I lived out in the cedar cabin in the woods in Kentucky, and we got 50 acres of land, and we gave land away, and we bought land and got to know his family and all of that. It was hard. The government couldn't keep up with him. He drove fast, coast to coast, men in black helicopters, and I'd be along the freeway, and here'd come the men in black, along, speed up in cars, and overhead and all that. I've had them here
Why
in
were they
Austin.
after you, Theresa? What were you? Why are the men in black after you all the time?
I don't know. It's what we were carrying, I guess. I don't know, that or Tom, but we carried a lot of good stuff. I mean, we did. Back
You
and
told me
forth.
that you were a
to
truck
Dayton,
driver?
Ohio.
When you
Yeah,
were a
we
truck
both were that. And that's how I met Gus. I didn't meet him with J. Allen Hynek. J. Allen Hynek probably knew he existed, but from when he talked to me, I had talked to him 2
I
times.
read your book. I know how you met Gus, if that's accurate. You were in Area 51 or S4 or something like that.
What do you mean, How you know?
Because I read your book.
Oh, the book, the one I just showed you. Oh, yeah, that story, people thought, Dirk died, Dirk Vanderploeg, my first publisher when I came out in 2006, 7, with Stanton Friedman, right? Stanton Friedman and I had this whole gig, right? We were coming out 87, 97, 2007, 2017. Right. And I didn't make it for how many years is that? 40 years? I'm a Highlander type, live, die, come back, but I hadn't seen Stan back yet. So I saw Paul come back today, sent you something from him too. But meeting people on this side of reality that come and go, it's like Highlander. I don't know how, I just say the word and it doesn't evoke memories. It did to Bret. Sorry it didn't work for you. But Tom was one of these past lifers. He's an alien ET hybrid. But he got a human form here, not like you made, back in the Anunnaki days, not on not on the old planet. But
he was born through a human mother.
Yeah,
he was
Clay.
Born in the hospital. What I remember Tom said is that when he was in the hospital, they came in and they played with his DNA so that he would have his superpower, so to speak.
They did back then, and they did for me, and they do for a lot of kids.
Let me finish my sentence. One of the things he could do when he could shoot a rifle from, incredible distance and hit the target. It was like his mind would take the bullet and go, "You're going for the heart," or "You're going for the head," and he would shoot, and then he would direct the bullet, and it would hit every time, and that's why he was a sharpshooter. Wherever it could have been the target.
Wow, yeah. And Tommy says he knows everything of the story about Tom, but no, you guys don't even know 1/10, 100th, 1,000th.
Well, you do cryptic
of all the cases. But
you've
when
never
he came
done
on the radio,
story, and I don't know if you ever will. Let's have Bret talk. I can see Bret's got this expression. So
well,
I know
Bret needs to hold all of these people come and gone. I need him to get a handle on it because he's writing the book on it. The Ascension Public Relations, how we come back over and over again in Ascension, and we do our work. Go ahead, Bret. Okay, I hope he's right about me and Harold.
We have in the middle here.
Was there a question in there, or was there a subject specifically you wanted me to comment just on TJ's experience?
All the stuff we just said, what are you getting from it? Because I'm getting confused, and I'm part of the conversation. What are you gleaning from what we're saying here?
We all grew up differently, and so I'm amazed at the jobs that TJ has and the different roles she's played within government. And, growing up, my grandparents or my parents might mention to me that, Uncle so-and-so's got this great job with the government, and or someone's got a great job with the city, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, so those are the kind of jobs you want to get because they got good benefits. You got, paid vacations, that kind of thing. And then I grew up and realize that the government's lying to the American people on multiple levels, and so it's just I'm kind of confused as to what to do. Do we trust the government? Do we not trust the government? Here, like I'm talking to TJ, we interviewed Nancy Tem a few weeks ago, who's a former government employee, and these are two examples of people that loved what they did within the government and saw the good in what the government could do. So it's a real dichotomy.
Well, it depends on which side you're reporting, but how about both or neither? Good thing about journalism is you have two sides of the truth, and anybody that would ever hire you would tell you to get both. There's got to be
there's at least two sides.
The hero's journey, but there's got to be, okay, he said, but what about the middle? And it always wound up being political of some type, or go talk to the judge, So, but Bret's been through all that as a journalist.
Hold
right?
on, Janet. Let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I'm kind of experimenting with is there's these two realities, okay? And so is it what you focus on is what you draw towards you? So then the warrior side of me that I perceive that I have doesn't need to worry about righting the wrongs or correcting the negativity. I just focus on the positive and all the other children getting trafficked, sex slavery, experimentation at Dulce base, let's say, and any number of underground bases around the world where humans are kept in cages and being experimented on. Maybe I don't need to worry about that, and that's just their deal. And so I just need to worry about myself and what I focus on. Or do I focus on that side and try to expose it so that I can actually play my little tiny role in helping the bigger picture to resolve to, let's just say, for lack of a better term right now, to the golden age, where we get rid of all this crap that we have to deal with the corruption and the political deceit and the constant wars, and now the constant bombardment of chemtrails and toxins in our environment, and our water and air and soil is all polluted. So I'm it's, I don't know.
The answer is the same golden rule was always be perfect. Everything has to be perfect is the deity from the mountain of all the world religions. All the things we leave is we have to be perfect. And there was no sin, and there sure wasn't any lies and deceit. So we had no imaginations. And this is what I learned from Tom. I learned a beautiful story. There is one behind that, when the Anunnaki came and they found the people along the water, and they were, because I couldn't get past that with the gods, or let's say, after the Ennead 9 and what we brought down with Star Trek into the golden age of Total Recall. And Tom and I had to go through Total Recall together, and it scared the heck out of both of us. I don't know how to tell everybody how you wake up and what all this Ascension Awakening is about, except what they told me. And I became the Ascension Center founding director. And Janet still holds that. Maui is anchored there with a report.
Well, we're over here at the portal. I live on portals. I live on interdimensional portals.
I had to block my phones too. But there's so much to know, Bret. So what you do is you can do what you can do when you're in the place.
Let me finish. I'm sorry. That was okay. David Farman, and I don't know what to do about that.
Oh, is that David? He wants to come on? Send him the link.
I don't know. I have to answer the phone, and I'm trying to answer this question. So, okay.
Yeah, you had a question, Jen.
I had something. So you were talking about the who do you trust? I lived on a military base, a remote location called Johnson Atoll in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, 800 miles. It's like the most remote location on the planet. And there were aliens, there were Russians, it was everybody
coming and going, little grays.
I'll tell you what,
people shining green and blue.
Was nice to me. I've never seen such a polite group of people than those that are on a military base.
Being
and
perfect.
they were with me, and they were kind, and I was down in the underground base. I interacted with the lots of extraterrestrials. I had the same phenomenon that Preston Nichols had, where they compartmentalize you so you can go and kind of be normal and act normal when you go to the karaoke bar at night and sing karaoke.
I did that in Yokosuka.
Yeah, but
Japan.
I was working underground in the military base. I had an entryway. I was the librarian with my cover job. So even within this location, I had a cover job. And then I went back to at the end of the day, I'd go back to my library. I'd go home. And so this the compartmentalization going on.
You're still a librarian. Janet, you're still a librarian.
So go ahead. What was that question, Bret?
Well, I just said I was telling Theresa to let you finish.
Yeah. So I was down in the anyway, there was a ritual, like Eyes Wide Shut. It was a big day, and that's what the prep was. And everybody was brought in from all over the galaxy. just like Joan Richard says, her husband experienced these meetings where they would have meetings of all these different extraterrestrials. Hers often occurred like castles and stuff. This was in the underground base, big cavern, giant cavern that could hold thousands. And then they brought in, just like at the end of what was that one? Flatube brought in the first one in 1951.
War of the Worlds?
No, Day the Earth. Just like they had the meeting. We're going to bring, so, and that happened. That's why I wanted to get Gloria Hawker's thing. She had a meeting like that. So finding the people who had these meetings that they were brought to. So I was brought there because I was the key. And I go, what do you mean I'm a key? Well, there was a spot that I had to stand in. And when I stood there, the wall dissolved. And behind the wall was the giant Draco, the dragon. That's why we have stories of dragons. It was literally a dragon. So it was gigantic and we couldn't see it. So it sent down a avatar of itself so it could stand and face me. So we went into an interchange, like where we mind meld, like a Vulcan mind meld. And when we started exchanging energy, everybody could ask questions. We were outside of time and space. They could simultaneously ask questions and get their answers. I don't know how I did it. I couldn't do it now, but that was in my DNA, and that was my role. Now, I'm not the only one that does that. If you look at Peter Moon's book with Rajar Cinemar, I can't pronounce it. Cinemar. Yeah. Cinemar. They had a fellow that was the key as well. So this is a piece together. I'm being directed to pull these pieces together. Okay, that made no sense, but I've done a lot of therapy on it. I've done hypnosis. I've spontaneously recalled things. Once you start opening the memory, it's like the Russian dolls. It goes, and so I get so much information at night in downloads. I go to these Earth 1, Earth 2, the different variations of the Earth thing. I go to a couple of different variations of Nibiru. I go back to Johnson Atoll. It's like I lost pieces of my soul. I'm trying to piece that together. So I don't think that we are really linear beings. I think we're multidimensional, simultaneously having these. I think that's what you're trying to say. We always say, Theresa says, we have these layers upon layers upon layers. And that's what that gentleman, David Gagnon, was saying. We really are the sum total of everything. We are the Tao. We are God. And we think that we are individuals, but we're all talking to ourselves because at the highest level, it really is. It's not just a woo-woo hippie thing. It's like we are one. And we have subparts and divided into these different avatars of ourselves to have these experiences. So that's what I'm getting from it. So let's see. Theresa, do you want to add to that? Or do you want to add to that, Bret? Questions or feedback?
Go ahead, Theresa.
Theresa.
Okay.
Parents, go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought it was Bret's turn. I heard you, but you said Theresa or Bret's what I heard. So I thought Bret was going to talk.
So I said, go ahead, Theresa.
Okay. Well, yeah, exactly what she said. So I would like.
You waited all after that, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I know because Janet and I talk just about every day and have since 1993. That was the year she and I met in Hawaii. And I was bringing together the spiritual community and the psychic network. People from India came over, put me on television. It was a huge, huge deal. And nobody was called unless they were chosen to come by the extraterrestrials. And then the intelligence community got wind of it. So these stories are very deep. And that's how I met Janet, because she was pulled in for the Project Stargate, which was ending for that, by the way, in 95, 96, sometime around there, 97. But some of the guys that were on the inside didn't want it to
really end. I think they morphed into something else. I don't think
you came in towards the end of the Stargate, but you were already working as a contractor, but you were also a librarian. But you had the ability, you had the psychic abilities.
When I met you in 93, I had not yet gone to Johnson.
But you'd gone to psychic seminars.
Right. So I was directed to go to Hawaii to a series of relationships and failed relationships, and then meetings that I've had on the internet. I met this guy on the internet. Next thing you know, I'm flying across the planet from Pennsylvania to Hawaii. And it's like, looking back, I go, oh my God, like I thought these were all my choices, but everything had to fall in place exactly how it did for me to meet and be on this show, to meet Sasha, to have this, I call it a magical, mystical, incredible life. And so, real quick, someone said you look like you're mad. I said, no, it's 105 degrees. For people, poor Bret is in an oven.
104, right, Bret? And
he lives 104 right now, yeah.
He lives in a mobile home that's very hot, and it's just by his choice. He saves his cash. Don't go kill him over it because it's not worth it. But he is an excellent speaker, author, and he gets hot. And he does look hot. So how is it? 10 degrees, Bret?
Well, I just said it's about 104.
Yeah, 104. Then it says, please elaborate on the RH blood. Okay, so I'm RH negative. I'm O negative. Are you negative, or what's your blood types? Theresa, do you know your blood type?
Of course, I'm O positive, but that has nothing to do with anything unless people are just saying trying to say they were from one planet. But no, everybody's DNA was 2 pieces taken out in order to be a human clay born. And you of all people should know that. All this stuff down here on the planet, it's all about what's above all that. So it's just one of those little things you get lost in the weeds and you never get to the tall trees or the summit, you know?
So why is everybody focused on RH negative blood?
Because they heard it had something to do with the monkeys, and that must be the ones that got separated, but it wasn't the monkeys, it was humans. And they were not monkeys, but they call it the rhesus monkey gene. And most people have it. Now, O positive I forgot, but we are the majority of the oldest back to whenever, supposedly O positive, American Indian, Native Americans, they have O positive. And we're 10 degree drunks.
We don't have a definitive answer, but yeah, okay. Do you know anything about RH negative?
Let me throw in a little something here. So I first learned about the RH negative thing in a document called Operation Majority, which was released by William Cooper. And it had largely to do with a testimony by John Lear. So John Lear was coming forward, supposedly talking about the Dulce base. This is supposedly where at least one of the origins of the Dulce base. And he signed an affidavit that William Cooper republished as Operation Majority along with some other material. But in there, it described how the Greys, didn't specify which species, now we know of several species, but they just called them the Greys, were at a supposedly genetic bottleneck in their culture. And so they were coming to Earth to harvest human DNA to add to their DNA to kind of, so their species didn't die out in this kind of a dead end genetically where they were going. Because I guess they were cloning a lot. And so they didn't have the diversity of genes that can keep them going.
So if we want to believe the whole William Cooper story, somewhere is an affidavit stating that the Greys chose RH negative, because I investigated William Cooper years and years and years ago. And I probably even met him, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, he was part of my story about 40 years ago. But was that true or not, or was that a sidestep? And why the RH negative? Because people will take one word and one idea and go with it because they have nothing else above that.
It goes back to the Anunnaki, but I don't have it fresh in my mind.
But you're Anunnaki, and I'm not. Well, okay, I'm Anunnaki. If you want to go back to my Thoth DNA and fractals. But
we're all part Anunnaki. The whole human race is part Anunnaki. But some get
where we're going.
That's what the royals are about. The royals are royal because of the bloodline.
The whole world's about that, with empires and fighting for the gold and the dust that was needed, because the volcanoes stopped working, and we had no choice. It was afterwards.
We got to wrap this up. It's 58 minutes. Okay.
Really already? So an hour goes by fast.
Yeah. So let me quickly go back to this real quick, and just come on. There we go. Add to stage. Okay, so you have 2 presentations. You have the one about Gus, who's an AI, and then
oh, nice, Janet. Look at
UFO encounters.
Wow, look at you. You should do this, Roswell. There's going to be a jillion people that can do this Roswell UFO encounter.
Well, this is about your experience with Roswell.
My experience.
You've told
me.
You've got to make it about yourself. Open up your heart chakra and
I'm
share
just an
about
investigator.
yourself. No, you're not.
I
That's
did
me.
become.
Yes. Anyway,
I met all the players.
hopefully she'll share her involvement with Errol the Gray. Anyway, I'll show you these real quick. I just grabbed a bunch of pictures. I don't know if they're real or not. I'm just showing them. This is what you get. This is at the museum. This is the autopsy. These are all part of the whole Roswell phenomenon. But Theresa, look at that little guy. Isn't he cute? Theresa has a story about Roswell. And I'm going to help her get together her PowerPoint. Look at that. There's some crash at Corona, Roswell. Is that what the ship looked like? Right. One last slide. That's it. So it's when is it? October? Do you remember the date? Anyway, I'll go back. Theresa, are you frozen? Uh-oh. We lost Theresa.
Go back to the poster real quick.
Okay, real quick. She dropped off. Hopefully she'll just jump back on to finish up the show.
Oh, you can't just skip to it.
I'm not sure where it is. Here it is. No, not that one. This one. That one? Or do you want the poster?
Well, whichever one has the date. So the October 17th to
20th. Yeah.
Is
so
the event.
we're gonna do what we can to have different people on. We have Richard Doty next week, and we'll see who else we can get on to talk about this. I'm going to try to get Stephen D. Kelley. I have his number from when I met him. And all right,
Geraldine Orozco.
I already have Geraldine coming on.
Oh, great.
On the 26th. Yeah. So Richard is next week, Geraldine the following week. And then I have somebody else in July. I'm starting to book. We're already going to be in July. Isn't it amazing how fast this year has gone? Yeah. All right, Bret, wrap it up. I know you want to get off and turn on your AC.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for watching the TJ3B Triangle once again. We're not sure where TJ went, but I'm guessing it's probably to one of her 5 spaceships. And she's probably having a conversation with Gus right now. So I'm sure as that event approaches in October, we're going to hear more from TJ Morris about her presentation and more about some of the speakers that are coming up. It should be a really exciting event. So hope you guys all get your tickets early. And maybe we'll see you out there in October. So okay. Thank you to Theresa. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Theresa. Sorry you went back on board ship. And we will see you next time, the same time next week. So thank you for joining us.
Next week.
Raising Isaiah and a couple other people. So much love and blessings and aloha. Namaste.
Namaste.